Ladies and gentlemen, today I wanted to look at a new coin, which is always very risky, but this one has already had a little bit of a drawback back down to around 250K. It is the Ethereum FartCoin. Now we know the initial FartCoin that was launched last year. Right now it's at like 1.1 billion in market cap. It was launched on Solana. We know the based FartCoin launched on Base, the layer 2 of Ethereum that came out right at the beginning of this year. It's at around 25 million. And now there's an Ethereum version of FartCoin with just the ticker FART. And you can, we're going to actually have to, because it doesn't have the price history, because they added it to CoinGecko a little bit after the coin was launched, but we can just go to this. We can look this up and find the coin right here. So you can see it's at 247K in terms of market cap. Its initial run managed to go up to around 1.3, 1.4 million. And so this coin has been built up pretty well. When you look at the background infrastructure surrounding it for a meme coin, there also is some type of corresponding tree planting that they're doing with this project. They do have a built up Telegram, and this is a project that has seen a retracement, which is kind of what you wait for when these coins launch new. And this is very, very risky. You're talking about a new coin because I don't know how many times I could say about, remembering coins when they launch and going down 80, 90, 95%. $500 investment becomes worth $10 literally. And so it's very important. Now this one you could say, well, maybe a little bit of a retrace. It went down to around 180K. It's starting its retrace. I think it's obviously too early to say that. We would have to see it power past around 500 or 700K. And then even that, it's hard to really do TA on a brand new meme coin. It's just based off of the hype and the demand. So, and also the team that's pushing it. But looking at this, it's already had a little bit of retracement. So maybe, not financial advice, maybe a good time to get into it if you do believe in another fart coin. I know people will say, well, there's the initial fart coin on Solana. This is a copycat. What's the point? Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's another copycat on Base, which is an Ethereum layer 2, and it made it, what did it go to, like 55, 60 million, maybe even 70 million? I mean, there are, at this point, three different fart coins, three different main fart coins, and you can see the original fart coin on Solana, almost at 1.2 billion. I think it had an all-time high over 2 billion. Based fart coin is at 26 million right now. So on Ethereum layer 2, and this is one, what did it reach? I mean, this is a market cap that reached around 67, 68 million. Certainly it depends on the team in terms of, how high the Ethereum based fart coin can go. But if you look at it, I mean, this is an impressive website. You can see you can enter the ecosystem. You can look at the launch strategy, go through all of it. They've got a bunch of stuff they're doing. Staking rewards, carbon offset, tree planting, environmental impact. So they're doing a bunch of different stuff. I do think when it comes to something like this, ideally you would want to have like a market cap that you would want to hit, just because people like that. I don't think they have that, but there's a big buildup in infrastructure surrounding this project. And again, it's brand new. You need to be very careful with it, but it's one of those things to where you see it and it's like, well, 255K, this is the Ethereum one. The base one went to 60, 70 million. Right now it's hovering around 25 million. Even if this coin went to 25 million from 250K, I'm not saying it's going to, but you can see the massive X potential. And then obviously the main one on Solana. I also think this was based off of the idea of asking the chatbot truth terminal AI, should I create a coin and where should it be? And they said, create a coin with a total supply of, the 69,420K at 69,420,000. And then the terminal said, well, put it on Ethereum because Ethereum is the biggest chain. And so that's what it said. And I think that's what this, if you look at this, FartCoin launch strategy, ticker, FART, total supply, blockchain, consider Ethereum, wide compatibility. So this is an interesting coin to look at. Again, brand new. Kind of interesting how it launched at such a low market cap, which could be concerning because you're talking about a lot of people buying it up down at 2,000 or 3,000. That's not normally how coins are launched. Normally they're launched with a team that already has a decent amount of supply. But this coin has been built up pretty significantly. And at this point, I mean, going from a high of 1.2 to around 300K, it has seen a retracement. Now, who really knows what happens with this coin? It's just, even if you look at the heat maps and the bubbles, you really can't tell depending on the ownership of the team, because there's easy ways to hide that, the cluster bubbles I'm talking about. So even something like that, these are more so just, I'm not going to say it's total luck in terms of finding one of these meme coins that just launched that potentially is built up enough to see 100x, but there is a lot of just pure luck involved. Now, you should do research 100%, but see if it's built up in terms of the infrastructure. It's just insanely risky. That's why I recommend people waiting 6 or 7 months for coins to come out and retrace and go through a building period. But this FartCoin is interesting because, again, you look at the other FartCoins, and you can't do an apples to apples comparison because it's not like that. But even this is the based variant. It's just the based FartCoin. That's all it is. And so this is a coin that, has reached 70, 80 million. It's been able to maintain a market cap above 10 million really since its launch. And it did capitalize on the initial hype of FartCoin. Not saying there's not still hype, but now that it's a known commodity, it's kind of one of the top memes. People don't really, you could say the hype has kind of died down in terms of some of the variant coins. But nonetheless, it's an interesting one to look at. And then you can see what do I have to spell it out? You can see the Solana one. This is the one that's at over $1 billion. It did reach around 2.3, 2.4 billion. But yeah, this was the one I believe launched on Pump Fund. Yeah, Pump. And so, yeah, we'll have to see what ends up happening to the Ethereum variant. But it is built up. It does have a very active Telegram. I'm not saying 100% this coin's going to do very well, but it's one, if you're looking for a trade, it's interesting because you compare, this is the Ethereum one, and the thing is, you see the variance on other chains. Like if there's a very popular, it's kind of weird. There's not an extremely successful Dogecoin on Solana, but there are other coins like mimicking each other, like the based variants, like based FartCoin, like based Pepe. There's several different Pepe coins just on Ethereum alone that are worth hundreds of millions. Now that's a very popular meme, but so is FartCoin. And you could say, well, it's just copying it, so what's the point? It's not going to do anything. But we've already seen the based variant, the based FartCoin variant do very well. So you'd have to take that into account. Not saying this coin has the exact same team. That could be a big issue if there's not a great team behind this project. But there is an actual map. And it's just a coin to look at when you're looking at the other ones doing so well. And to be honest, like even a coin like Brett, which is like the top base coin, there's an Ethereum variant and it's at 9 or 10 million. And I'm not saying, well, this coin's going to go to 9 or 10 million, this Ethereum FartCoin, but you can see, is this even on here? See, it says Brett ETH. It's at 9 million. The main Brett is at 450 million. So even there's an Ethereum Brett that has gone to around, I mean, it doesn't have the full market cap there. This Ethereum Brett's gone extremely, extremely high. Wow, this supply is the exact same as the FartCoin supply, just by happenstance. But, I mean, this coin, imagine the FartCoin goes to 50 cents, the Ethereum FartCoin. I mean, that would be, what does this max mean? This is glitched. That's glitched. I never seen that before. But, this is the same exact supply as the Ethereum FartCoin. So imagine the Ethereum FartCoin goes to 50 cents from where it is right now. It's at like 0.3 of a cent. Think about it, because there's these other variants they do well. But the thing is obviously this is a problem with this coin. If a bunch of the supply is owned, we saw the initial, I mean, you can really only see it on here, but we saw the initial, this is it right here. It was around $2,000, the market cap. That's concerning. That means a lot of supply can be bought up very easily for nothing. And if they start selling it against buys, maybe they've been doing that. Hopefully they sold out because it's seen a retracement. But I'll be honest, when it comes to crypto, this coin, you would think, well, no, it can't go any lower. This coin very easily could go to, well, I don't know the team, but this coin very easily could go to like 30K. Because it's brand new and it hasn't really established an actual floor. So you have to be careful. But that's part of crypto. I'm just saying, if the team was actually good, this coin has a chance. They've built it out. Let's hope they did. Maybe they already dumped. Maybe they're holding they're waiting for at least 20 or 30 million. You see the Ethereum Brett versus the based Brett. Obviously, the base spread is going to do better, but there's variants that can do well in other chains. Ethereum versus Base, I mean, that's just a layer 2. So even that, I mean, and we see, I like Ethereum better than Solana. You know, I'm old school, I guess. I'm just not a fan of Solana. I don't know. Solana, there's too many coins on Solana. I always look at Ethereum coins. That's why I like NASDAQ 420, the stock to memes, SPX. That's more my ball game. 4chan, the 4chan coins on Ethereum. But listen, this is an interesting one, and we'll have to see how it ends up doing. If hopefully, I mean, it's very risky. Any coin that's just been launched with an anonymous team that's not doxxed, even if they're doxxed, it's risky. You just don't know with crypto where you putting your money. But I mean, the thing is I like coins like this, and I like doing trades, and I've struggled with trades recently, but this is a coin that's already retraced. I wanted to wait for the retracement if it was coming. It might retrace still. It could retrace back to 30K. We don't know. We just don't know. But that's part of the risk. That's part of the risk versus reward. I mean, if it goes to where based FartCoin is, imagine that's a significant gain, up to 25 million from 250K. That could be interesting. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video.